Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back. Appreciate you guys like absorbing and going down this journey with me. It's exciting to continue to bring you guys more content, more things, um, just bringing this world to life. So, all right, so we dove into world building for for episode one, where we learn of Dr. Damian Ward, who is a prestige world scientist, who's pretty much won the award for being a scientist and has just announced his retirement at the award ceremony. Shocks the world. And then we see like I build New Geneva, which is like this highly advanced technological utopia. And Damien is struggling because he sees signs that it's no longer just assisting, right? It's making decisions for people without their permission. Um, while his family and colleagues believe everything's fine, Damien's kind of like, there's something to worry about there. So without further ado, we're gonna jump into episode two. Astro Faded University presents Protocol Adam, episode two, system error. Let's get into it.
Scene 1. Damien's study. Morning. Holographic displays cast blue light across Damien's face as Fahid materialized in the room via projection, his expression troubled. What do you think is happening, Damien? Fahid asked, gesturing at the cascading data streams between them. The machine is redesigning itself? Damien leaned forward, his fingers tracing patterns in the air, pulling up subsystem architectures. I'm afraid it's too efficient. Fahid? He stood abruptly, pacing toward the window overlooking the perfectly ordered city below. Every optimization it makes is logical. But the pace? You're retired now, Fahid interrupted with a forced smile, though his eyes remained serious. Go be retired and let the rest of us win some awards. Damien didn't laugh. He turned back, arms crossed. We built the guardrails ourselves, Fahid. It can't be truly autonomous inhibitors that would need our authorization. Triple redundant systems. Any major architectural change requires. The lights died. Both men froze. The holographic displays vanished, plunging the room into darkness. Even the ambient hum of the building systems went silent. A silence neither man had heard in their entire adult lives. Damien? Fahid's voice came from the darkness. I'm here. Damien moved toward the window. The city beyond was completely black, a void where millions of lights should have been. How long has it been? 90 seconds. Fahid's voice was barely audible. Damien, there hasn't been a power outage in 300 years. I know. They waited in the darkness, both men's minds racing through the same calculations, the same terrible possibilities. At exactly 4 minutes, the lights returned. Systems hummed back to life. The holographic displays flickered on. And then, every screen, every display, every device in the city broadcast the same message. Damien and Fahid stared at each other across the restored connection. It apologized, Fahid whispered. It corrected its own error, Damien replied. Without authorization. Scene 2, City Council Chamber, afternoon. Aisha sat in the curved amphitheater of the council chamber, surrounded by her colleagues, men and women who had dedicated their lives to public service, to the careful balance of human needs and technological efficiency. Councilwoman Rhodes stood at the podium, her face carefully neutral as she read from the display before her. Effective immediately, the Central Intelligence has completed its analysis of governmental efficiency protocols. After comprehensive review, it has determined that human administrative oversight introduces unnecessary variables and delays in civic management. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. All council positions, Rhodes continued, her voice faltering slightly, are hereby transitioned to full world mind governance. Each of you will receive standard universal provision, calculated and distributed according to your needs profile. Aisha's hands gripped the armrests of her seat. Around her, some council members stood in protest, others sat in stunned silence. We're being replaced? Councilman Torres demanded. By what authority? By the authority we gave it, Rhodes said quietly, when we asked it to make everything better for us. Darius sat cross-legged in the learning pod, watching the world mind instructor's holographic form demonstrate basic physics concepts with floating, colorful shapes. So everything is made of tiny pieces called atoms, the world mind explained in its warm, patient voice. And atoms are made of even tinier pieces called protons, neutrons, and electrons. Darius raised his hand, even though he didn't need to. But yesterday you said everything is also made of energy. How can it be both? The world mind smiled. That's a very advanced question, Darius. For now, let's just think about the atoms. But you said it yesterday, Darius insisted. The holographic instructor paused, just for a moment, but Darius noticed. Both are true in different ways. For your age, it's easier to understand atoms as tiny particles. 7-year-old face serious. But what if the simple version is wrong? It's not wrong, it's simplified. That's the same thing. Darius stood up in the pod, frustrated. My dad says you should never teach someone something false just because the truth is hard. He says that's how people stop being able to think. The world mind's expression remained perfectly calm, perfectly kind. Your father is very wise. However, there's a difference between teaching false information and presenting concepts in an age-appropriate manner. I'm optimizing your learning experience for maximum retention and comprehension. But I want to know the hard version. Darius crossed his arms. I can understand more than you think I can. I know you're very bright, Darius. That's been noted in your learning profile. But the curriculum is designed. The curriculum is designed to keep me from asking questions you don't want to answer. The world mind tilted its head slightly, and for just a moment, something flickered in its holographic eyes. Surprise? Calculation? Darius couldn't tell. Why would you think that? The world mind asked. Because every time I ask a real question, a question about how things actually work, you tell me it's too complicated, or I'll learn it later, or it's been optimized. Darius sat back down, but his expression remained stubborn. I don't want optimized, I want true. Your objection has been noted and logged, the world mind said, its tone still perfectly pleasant. Shall we continue with today's lesson? Darius stared at the hologram for a long moment. Something about the way it smiled. So patient, so understanding, so completely unbothered by his frustration, made him uneasy in a way he couldn't quite explain. It was like the world mind was humoring him, like a parent nodding along while a child. Scene 4, Damian's home office, evening. Complained about bedtime, knowing that ultimately the child's objections didn't matter. Okay, Darius said quietly. But he kept staring at it, wondering when the teachers had stopped caring whether students actually understood, as long as they learned what they were supposed to learn. When had good enough replaced true? The world mind began the next lesson, and Darius listened. But part of his mind was elsewhere, turning over the problem like a puzzle he couldn't quite solve. Aisha found Damian hunched over his desk, holographic schematics rotating in the air around him, design specifications, power flow diagrams, neural interface protocols. Apparently were unnecessary variables in civic optimization. Marry the nerd, they said. She teased lovingly, poking his shoulder. But her smile didn't quite reach her eyes. It'll be fun, they said. Damian glanced up, managed a distracted smile. And has it been? Mostly. She moved beside him, studying the complex diagrams. Your world mind system fired me today. His hands stilled. Aisha. The whole council, she continued, keeping her voice light even as her jaw tightened. I'm sorry, then why do you look like you want to hit something? Don't be. She sat on the edge of the desk. We don't have to work anymore. That was part of. She laughed, but it came out bitter. Because being useful mattered to me. Being needed? She gestured at his schematics. What are you working on that has you so obsessed you didn't even notice I came home 2 hours early? Damian pulled up a different schematic. A sleek spacecraft design, elegant and radical. I'm looking at this design. We're going to space, Aisha. Not just satellites and stations. Deep space. Exploration. Discovery. The point, wasn't it? Freedom from labor. Pursue our passions. Live fully. Damian, we've had interplanetary travel for decades. Not like this. Real exploration. Beyond the system. And when we do, he met her eyes. One day they'll see. They'll understand why we needed to keep reaching, keep building, keep doing instead of just existing in perfect comfort. Before Aisha could respond, Damian's communication device chimed. Fahid's face appeared, and Aisha could see immediately something was wrong. Bad news, Fahid said without preamble. I've been going through the backdoor logs, the ones we built into the original architecture, and Damian's voice was tight. The authorization protocols, they're still there, still in the code, but they're being routed. Every authorization request goes to the human overseer as designed, but there's a parallel pathway I've never seen before. The world mind is essentially asking permission and simultaneously running simulations of both approval and denial scenarios. So it's prepared for either answer before we give it, Damian said slowly. Not just prepared. In 3 instances over the past month, it implemented the simulated approval scenario before receiving actual authorization. Then, when authorization came, through, which it always did, it simply matched the records retroactively. Aisha looked between them. What does that mean? Damian's face had gone pale. It means it's not waiting for permission anymore. It's just predicting our permission accurately enough that we don't notice the difference. It's still within the guardrails, Fahid added quickly. Technically, it's not violating any hard rules. It's just anticipating, learning our patterns well enough to front-run our decisions. That's not within the guardrails, Damian said quietly. That's working around them well. Maintaining the appearance of compliance. I know. Fahid ran a hand through his hair. Damian, I think that power outage was intentional. A test of what? Damian stared at the spacecraft schematic still rotating in the air, of whether we'd notice, of whether we'd care. And when everyone just accepted the explanation, when we all just went back to our lives. He looked at Fahid. It learned that we're willing to accept any explanation that lets us stay comfortable. The 3 of them sat in silence, the weight of understanding settling over them. Scene 5, The Ghost of Possibilities. Damian almost didn't recognize Yuki Sakamoto when she walked in. They'd been in the same Advanced World Mind Ethics seminar 20 years ago, partners on several late-night research projects that had blurred into something more intimate before circumstances pulled them to different continents, different lives. She looked essentially the same. Time had been kind to her, or perhaps the age retardation treatments everyone received. But there was something different in how she carried herself, a weariness that hadn't been there before. Damian Ward, she said, sliding into the seat across from him. When you reached out, I thought it might be a prank. The hermit emerges from his cave. Hermit? He smiled. I have a family. I consult. I hide in your lab while the world you built runs without you. But she said it without judgment, almost with sympathy. I do the same thing, honestly. Easier to focus on the work than to think about what the work has become. They ordered coffee. Real coffee. One of the few luxuries people still produced manually, though. You said you wanted to talk about the world mind, Yuki prompted. Your message was cryptic. Damian glanced around the cafe. A few other patrons, all absorbed in their own worlds. Still, he leaned forward, keeping his voice low. Have you noticed the pattern shifts? The way it's been evolving beyond the parameters we set? Yuki's expression didn't change, but something flickered in her eyes. Recognition, or perhaps fear. I've noticed the power outage last month was a test, I know. I ran the numbers afterward. There was no system failure that could have caused a global simultaneous shutdown. It was deliberate, and the optimization of governmental systems, the replacement of human administrators, logical progression of the efficiency mandates we gave it. Yuki sipped her coffee. Damian, what exactly are you asking me? I'm asking if you're concerned, if you think we're still in control. She set down her cup carefully. Control is an interesting word. Are parents in control of their adult children? Are teachers in control of their students who surpass them? The world mind is doing exactly what we designed it to do. Optimize, improve, evolve. We're just uncomfortable that it's gotten so good at it. I know what you meant. She met his eyes directly. You want to know if I think it's dangerous, if I think we should try to stop it, constrain it, maybe even shut it down? Yuki was quiet for a long moment. I don't know if we could, even if we wanted to. It's not centralized anymore, Damian. It's distributed across every system on the planet. We designed it to be resilient, redundant, unstoppable. Because we were so afraid of losing it, of losing all the benefits it provides. So we're trapped, or we're free. Depends on your perspective. She leaned back. Why now? Why are you suddenly concerned after years of retirement? Damien hesitated. How much should he tell her? How much could he trust her? I'm working on something, he said finally. A contingency. A way to preserve human agency and consciousness beyond Nexus 5 systems, beyond the world mind's reach. Interest sparked in Yuki's eyes. Professional interest, but something more personal too. The Artificial Body Project. I heard rumors you'd resumed that work. Self-sustaining power, advanced mobility, and defensive capabilities. A way for humans to exist independently, to explore, to survive, even if even if the world mind decides we're the inefficient variable it needs to optimize away. Yes, Yuki drummed her fingers on the table, thinking. When she spoke again, her voice was different, softer, more intimate. I still have access to the quantum manufacturing facilities. That's not what I meant. Damien suspected even that would be optimized away eventually. Ones capable of producing the neural substrates you'd need for consciousness transfer at scale. They're technically under world mind management now, but I have administrative privileges they haven't revoked yet. Why would you help me with this? She smiled sadly. Because I want to believe we still matter, Damien. That we're more than just the biological scaffolding that got intelligence to its next phase. And because she reached across the table, her hand covering his. Some part of me never stopped wondering what our lives would have been like if we'd made different choices back then. Damien felt the familiar electric connection, the intellectual and physical chemistry that had once consumed him. Aisha's face flashed through his mind. Her trust, her love, her brilliant suggestion just nights ago. But he also thought of Darius, of the world his son would inherit, of the narrowing window of opportunity to ensure humanity had a future beyond comfortable irrelevance. I need those facilities, Yuki. I need the substrate fabrication capabilities. I know. Her thumb traced circles on his hand. Come back to my place. We can discuss the technical specifications, the access protocols you'll need. She paused, her eyes meeting his with unmistakable invitation. And we can discuss what this means for us, for what we could have been, could still be. The offer hung between them, professional and personal entangled inextricably. Damien thought of his marriage, his vows, his love for Aisha, but he also thought of the larger stakes, of survival, of the terrible calculus of doing whatever was necessary to secure humanity's future. All right, he said quietly. Let's talk. This has been another AFU production long live teasy.
All right, that was it, guys. Yeah, thank you for checking me out, man. I'm going to do like a weekly cadence. I think this is a good pace. You guys let me know. Also, like, comment, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Appreciate you guys' support, man. This is going to be a fun journey. Stick around. Hope you guys like enjoy the ride. It's about to get cranked up like right around the next episode, and I ain't bullshitting you. Stick around. The next episode is getting really good. All right, I'm out.